What's going on, everybody? My name is Jake. Welcome to the Haunted Beard. Thank you for joining me. So today I am going to talk about my most anticipated movie of the year, and that is, of course, Nosferatu, directed by Robert Eggers. And this is a film I have been looking forward to ever since it was announced, as Eggers is one of my favorite directors working in horror today, and just really one of my favorite directors, period. And so I could not wait to see what he was going to do with this rendition of this story. And of course, this is a film that is based on the old and original novel of Dracula, and we've seen a couple film variations since then, the original one coming out in 1922, and then a follow-up in 1979. There have been kind of some other sort of versions, but those are kind of two of the more official versions. And I actually went back and watched and reviewed both of those versions, and the reviews are available on my channel. So if you want some more Nosferatu coverage, go check out those reviews. But anyways, without further ado, let's get into my thoughts on Robert Eggers' Nosferatu. Nosferatu is the gothic tale of obsession between a haunted young woman and a terrifying vampire infatuated with her, causing untold horror in its wake. And I'm going to just come right out and say it, this is a pretty incredible film. This is a showcase of Eggers' talents, and this is such a display of a director who is in like complete control over his craft. And with this being Eggers' fourth feature film, he has shown that he is a master at visuals. This is just another shining example of that. All of his films have been period pieces and have been set during various times in the distant past. And he does such a good job transporting you visually to these times and to these places. And of course, Nosferatu is no exception. The film takes place in Germany in 1838, and everything about it just screams authenticity. There's nothing here that feels fake. There's nothing here that looks artificial. It looks like you have just taken a time machine back to this time and place. And Eggers is to be commended for that, and he has done that time and time again. And it's so impressive to me when a director is able to make a horror film and more of an atmospheric horror film feel this beautiful. This movie is dreadfully beautiful, if that makes sense. It's almost like two things that don't feel like they should go together, but they go together perfectly, because this film, the atmosphere is over the top, and it just oozes dread and like this impending sense of doom. But it's beautiful at the same time in its own unique kind of twisted, horrific way. As Eggers is able to take this dark, gothic, dread-filled horror story and make it a visual treat, really. And it's just such a pleasant film to watch, and I would say that about all of his films. I have a review for his film The Lighthouse on my channel as well, and it's just a movie it's so pleasant to just watch and see the images that he puts up on the screen. And again, this is just another example of that. I love what he does with the shadows and the lighting and just the atmosphere he is able to exude through the visuals and everything is phenomenal. Some of the lighting stuff that he does is really great. Like he's not afraid of lights to completely like blow out the image. Like there's some scenes that take place inside at night that are only lit by candlelight, at least from what I could tell. And that candlelight like almost completely blows out the image to where you can barely see anything. It almost like emits this like sort of blurry, hazy fog to it because it's like overexposed. And Eggers just kind of embraces that. And I just really like that because, again, it kind of just feels real that he's lighting these scenes only with candles. And it's little details and little things like that he does that, again, just kind of adds something unique to the overall experience of the film. He has such a creative and unique, visual eye, and the way he captures certain scenes that almost would be, considered like a throwaway or just kind of a filler scene in a lot of movies, it makes them stand out. There's a scene particularly where Nicholas Hoult, who plays one of the leads, Thomas Harker, as he's venturing over the mountains to see Count Orlok, and he's walking down this trail in the middle of the woods, and you can see snow falling, and then the carriage with the horses comes up to him, and it's this scene that gets really quiet and it gets really dark, and there's like kind of this spotlight, and you can only see this silhouette of him as the snow is falling, and it takes place in it's kind of slow motion, and it's just such this beautiful scene of something, again, seemingly mundane, but it's something that is so simple within the film, but it stands out in such a significant way, again, because of how Eggers captures it and just the beauty that he has. And I could just go on and on about it. I've probably said enough about the visuals, but the visuals here are just fantastic. Maybe the best looking film of the year, certainly up there in the top few for me. And all those visuals really contribute to the atmosphere. The atmosphere of this thing it's just over the top. It's so great. If you like that dark, gloomy, shadowy, gothic-y type of atmosphere filled with kind of this isolation and loneliness and fear and dread and doom, this is your movie. I mean, it's just a treat as far as all those different elements go. So, of course, the visuals are over the top great. Now, when it comes to the acting, of course, everybody's going to be talking about Bill Skarsgard as Count Orlok, and they should be, because, wow. I love the fact that they were able to completely hide him from all the marketing. I typically try to avoid marketing just to begin with, but I was really glad that I was able to go into the film having no clue what he was going to look like, and so the reveal of him was a genuine surprise, and so that was just really cool. Man, talk about a guy who is able to completely just disappear into a role. He's just really incredible. You know, you think to Skarsgård back to Pennywise and It, and how he just disappears into that role. He does the same thing here with just a completely different type of character, but is basically unrecognizable as Count Orlok. And man, just fully embodies this person, this character, this creature, whatever you want to call him. When you have a character like this, and an iconic character played by Max Schreck in the original film, and then again Klaus Kinski in the version from the 70s, and those are two kind of, you know, pretty well-known and iconic performances in the field of horror. Of course, Skarsgård is going to be compared to those other ones, but man, he stands out as his own thing. And yes, of course, there's similarities to those other ones. How could there not be? But he does something unique and different to where he really stands out as his own individual kind of creation of this character. And man, just everything about him, it just screams authenticity. It's effective. Everything about it works. He fully embodies this terrifying, overwhelming, overpowering type of presence. Man, the voice that I don't know if Eggers decided on it or if that was Skarsgård or both of them, but the voice inflection and kind of the accent that he used, I really, really liked. Everything about his performance in this character worked for me. I was just captivated every time he was on screen. And even when he was off screen, I couldn't wait for him to get back on screen so we could see more of him. One of the best performances I've seen this year, one of the most memorable characters. Really, really liked it. And while I would bet the majority of the conversation on this movie is probably going to be aimed at Skarsgård's performance, I have to talk about Lily Rose-Depp, because I think she is fantastic and just really, really solid in this film. She plays the character of Ellen, and what she's asked to do, I would imagine as an actor, is pretty difficult, because some of the things that she's asked to do and some of the places she's required to go to, I feel like are kind of scary and dangerous territory, because they could very easily become unintentionally funny, and you could kind of lose the audience real easily. But she really pulls it off and is really effective. This is a woman who is just deeply troubled, and some of the physicality and just some of the body movements and this sort of physical element to her performance, she really pulls off very, very well. I don't want to get into any more specifics because I feel like it could potentially reveal some things, but we haven't really seen this version of the character. You know, Isabella Gianni, who is in the previous version from the 70s, is certainly similar, but we get more of her character here in this film, of the character of Ellen, and she's just a little more fleshed out. We learn a little bit more about her turmoil and her just what she's kind of, going through with some of her background as well. And so I like that Eggers spent some more time with his character and just kind of fleshed her out and gave us some more depth to her. And again, I thought what Depp is required to do, she really pulled off. Just very effective, pretty powerful performance overall. And I was just really impressed with her. Another one I would say is one of the better performances I've seen this year as well. And then I have to give just a quick shout out to Willem Dafoe. And he's always good, of course, and he's equally good in this, has more of a supporting, more minor role here. But this is a guy, man, with seeing him in Eggers' film, The Lighthouse, and now this, he is a guy that, like, if we were to ever have a time machine, you could send this guy back to the 1800s, and I feel like he would just blend right in. Everything about how he acts and what he says and how he talks and how he behaves, it just feels like this is a guy that you plucked right out of the 1800s. He just sells this performance so well. It just blends right into this time and place. And yeah, I mean, Willem Dafoe, he's one of the greats. He's, again, more of a minor role here, but equally as good. And I really liked his performance in this as well. And he plays a character by the name of Professor Von Franz. And his character kind of opens some of the themes in the film up a little bit, as the film touches on, similarly to Nosferatu the Vampire, some of the themes of kind of natural and supernatural and science and religion, as he is this professor who has kind of fully embraced not just a naturalistic, but also a supernatural type of worldview. And he's the one who's saying that there are dark, demonic, sinister forces at work here, and not everybody believes him. I like that the film kind of touches on those themes a little bit, much like the previous film does. And, you know, kind of looking at, is there always a natural scientific explanation for everything, or is there some things that science can't explain, right? And it's those kind of themes that take you back to Count Orlok, as he is this creature, this being who, he is the darkness. He says in the movie, he's like, I am nothing but appetite, right? He is this dark, he's the shadow, he's death itself, so to speak. And I like that there's a little bit of that introspective look in this film, much like there was in the previous film. Again, kind of looking at, you know, the darkness inside of us, and is it something that I don't know, science can just explain away, or is there something more evil and more sinister at work here? So I just like this story and the themes that it brings up. It's just interesting, and it tells it in such a beautiful and creepy and, I think, great way. I could continue to go on and on about this. I feel like, you know, pretty much everything about it worked for me. I really like this story, even with being as familiar with it as I was, you know, having just recently watched the two previous versions. You know, I pretty much, you know, knew the story and knew where it was going to go, but nothing about that ruined any of the experience for me. I just really enjoyed seeing Eggers' vision up on the screen, and just seeing this guy just give us what was in his mind. And I love seeing what's in this guy's mind, because you're always going to get something pretty unique and pretty creative. This is a film too that I feel like plays really well in the kind of the Christmas season, as I could see myself returning to this movie during Christmas holidays, just on, you know, one of them cold, dark, rainy afternoons, just, you know, bundling up on the couch, you know, with a hot cup of tea and turning on Nosferatu, and it just kind of giving you that type of feeling and experience that you'd want during this time of year. It just fits. And so I don't know, I really appreciate that about it as well. So just a really good experience overall, really great atmosphere, incredible performances, visually beautiful. Very much looking forward to returning to it and watching it again. So anyways, those are my thoughts. Had a really good time with this. I think as far as an overall grade, I'm close to a 9, I think. I'm certainly at an 8.5. I might say 9 out of 10. And yeah, it's a really good one, man. I think if you've been a fan of Eggers so far and have liked his other films, this is well worth your time. I really think you're going to enjoy this as well. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Like always, hit me up down below. Let me know your thoughts and what you thought about it, what you loved about it. Would love to hear from you guys. So thank you so much for watching. Like always, I do greatly appreciate it. If you got anything out of this video, go ahead and do me a favor and do not click that subscribe button unless you want to be haunted by the beard.